The reason you clicked on this video is to learn how to nail the opening 5 seconds of a cold call. I'm going to provide you with 2 battle-tested phrases to begin using today based on my 50,000 outbound cold calling experience. The first phrase is the reason I'm calling you is psychologically people who do not know you, who do not recognize your number, calling them out of the blue. They're wondering, who are you? What do you want? Why are you calling them? So provide them that answer in the first 5 seconds. The reason I'm calling you specifically is that I'm following up on a recent email I had sent you. Does my company name ring a bell? The reason I'm calling you specifically is that I noticed that you're an executive, you're the VP of HR at XYZ company. Other leaders I work with typically care about XYZ. Any of those top of mind for you today? The reason I'm calling you is I want to set up a meeting with you. You can decide what the actual reason is, but think about a compelling enough reason to earn the permission to have 30 more seconds so that you can actually give them a pitch to justify making the ask for their time. Another cold call opening that I've been experimenting with that I really like is as soon as you open the phone, you say, hey, how are you? Good, I'm doing well, great. And a lot of folks don't like the how are you question because they say it's mundane. Everyone does it and you don't truly care about how they are. But I believe it tells you more about them than you would get otherwise by not asking. If you sound like you genuinely care to be there and want to make their day better, when you say, hey, how are you? And they say, I'm good, how are you? When they ask you back how you are, you know that you've opened the door and you have permission to continue going. If they just say, I'm good, that means you need to immediately get to the point and then hit them. Well, the reason I'm calling you specifically is insert value prop right then and there. I'll start with the how are you, and then I'll go into, I know I'm calling you out of the blue. Can I have 30 seconds for me to tell you the reason why I'm calling you? So I like that because you're not directly going into a pitch and you're almost asking for their permission to proceed. And so long as they give you that yes, I think that they're gonna be as receptive as one could be to actually hear what you have to say. So in summary, the 2 cold call opening lines to nail the first 5 seconds, both times I begin with how are you? And option number 1, the reason I'm calling you is insert XYZ. Option number 2, hey, I know I'm calling you out of the blue. Can I have 30 seconds for me to tell you the reason why I'm calling you? Don't fall in the trap of saying, did I catch you at a bad time? They're gonna say, of course you did. I wanna now talk about a few cold calling principles that have worked for me throughout my 4-year software sales career. I started at the bottom of the totem pole at a fast-growing tech company as a sales development rep. I've worked my way up at the same company to a senior account executive. I've Forexed my income. I've been promoted over 6 times, and I have made over 50,000 outbound prospecting cold calls, meaning I have to go find all of my own leads. I'm given an account list. I go find my own leads, and I reach out to them directly. When I'm cold calling, there's a few considerations that I always have. The first one is what you say isn't as important as how you're saying it. This didn't make sense to me until about a month or 2 in, because when I first started cold calling, everyone said I sounded like a used car salesman. I talked really fast. I had a script on the screen that I was trying to memorize, and I wasn't able to remain agile because you need to have a templated talk track that you can flex based on objections, based on just the vibe you're getting from the prospect. How you present it is more important than what you're actually saying. So step number 1, just don't overthink about what you're actually doing, and don't overthink about the actual act of making the call. Just press the call, let it ring, and then figure out what you're gonna say at that point. Just sound like you wanna be there, talk with tone, pitch, inflection, take pauses when need be, sit quietly, listen to what they have to say, and then respond. So just have the empathy to talk like you wanna be there and sound like you're different than just the 100 other people cold calling them. The next cold calling principle is to always make the ask for their time. I went through a stretch early in my career where I just was not setting meetings. So I went to my manager and I reviewed and I said, hey, I'm not setting meetings. He said, okay, how many calls are you making a day? And I said, okay, I'm making 100 calls a day. He said, good, that's a lot of volume. Never underestimate the amount of volume required to be successful. He next said, how many live conversations are you having a day per those 100 calls? Anywhere from 3 to 6. Okay, that's okay. 5-6% answer rate's pretty good. But the problem was the set rate. I wasn't setting the meeting. So when we went back and listened to a few of the calls, one of the problems we realized was that I wasn't getting the call to a point where I was actually able to make the ask for the prospect's time. The whole purpose of a cold call is to sell time. If you're selling an expensive software sales solution or any high ticket item, you are not going to close them on the phone. You need to understand if they are a relevant party to this consideration. Do they have some sort of pain? Are they doing anything today? And would they, most importantly, be open to learning more about your solution? You were there to sell time, so you got to nail the first 5 seconds so that you can have the opportunity to give your pitch, your 30 seconds or less, I would say even 15 seconds or less, succinct value proposition, speaking in the prospect's language, sharing what's in it for them, so that when you get to that point, you can confidently say, being that you value insights like these today, let's set up an additional conversation to talk more about your process. I will share best practices, and if we both see alignment, we can continue the conversation, and if not, we absolutely can part ways. When you make the ask for their time in a compelling way, and you're also framing in that agenda of what the expectation for the call is, it becomes more real to them. They're not just thinking that you're some imaginary person calling from some obscure location. You are a real person that is considerate of their time, that has a point of view, that can help them be more successful. And by setting the agenda, you reinforce that, so they say, okay, sure, let's do it. And you're also going to be able to increase your show rate as well as a result of making the ask for their time. A few bonus tips here before we wrap up the video is I like leaving voice messages. I view it as doing an extra rep in the gym. You don't always notice the difference immediately, but over time, it just builds up that mental fortitude and you become stronger. So however you can leave the voice message, leave that as frequently as possible. I wouldn't necessarily say, give me a call back. I would just reference them to look at your email and respond back there at their convenience, just so you can further reinforce the different omni-channel communication. I'm hitting you voice message, I'm calling you, I'm sending you emails, I'm even sending you LinkedIn notes on InMail. I just my last video was talking about my LinkedIn messaging strategy. Another tip is when it comes to objection handling, oftentimes when they tell you no, it's not the real objection. So for example, if I say, do you want to set up a meeting, and you say no, I'll say, well, why not? Well, we're using a solution today. Okay, well, do you like everything about that solution? Is there anything you would change? Well, actually, we had a problem with support. Okay, so now we've identified that there's something we can actually help with. So when you're given an objection, always push back and really get to the point of what they actually care about. In summary, all that really counts with cold calling is picking up the phone and making the dials. So don't overthink it. Don't worry about having the perfect script. Just worry about getting folks on the phone, nailing the first 5 seconds with one of the 2 phrases I share with you here today, and then just start making the ask for people's time, and you will start learning through trial and error. That matters way more than having the perfect script or the perfect product or the perfect conditions, because it's never going to be a perfect time. Subscribe now if you haven't already. And if you'd like to join my inner circle and access the private community Discord and the weekly live calls that I lead personally and answer all of your questions directly, click the first link in the description below. We have over 70 motivated, like-minded individuals like you in there today. It's a great group and I hope to see you there. Have a nice rest of your day. Happy dialing, happy pipeline, happy life.